And now, the Android Basics segment. This is a segment where we discuss the things that power your device from behind the scenes. And now, here's this week's episode, Android Basics. We now move on to our next segment, and this is the Android Basics, where we salute the Android 15 Beta 3. And do we have TalkBack yet? John, this is Android 15 Beta 3 and something we've been waiting for. We thought it was going to be coming the first week or the second week of June. It didn't come out till Tuesday of this week. And so, well, it's better late than never, right? Last year was quite a... we had a lot of problems last year with Android 14 beta and all of that, and I hope that this year, though, so far nothing has happened to indicate that we would be having the same kind of problem that we had with Android 14, but I hope that it keeps on this way, and then next month may be the last one. I don't want to predict again like I did last time, and I wound up on the wrong side of things.
Yeah, but we did get TalkBack, so we're excited about that.
And the thing that kind of has been bothering me with the TalkBack, and does anyone remember if we got the final TalkBack integration into the beta? Was it the third or the fourth beta last year? I know that this year is the third. And for some reason, though, back in Android 12 and Android 13 developer previews, or at least Android 12 developer preview, we had TalkBack or Accessibility Suite 12.0 to be commensurate with the OS. And for some reason, I think it was the 14 that we started having this problem whereby we didn't have the developer preview coming on with the matching Accessibility Suite. John, do you remember if version 13 developer preview came with Android Accessibility 13? I don't remember. I know for sure that version 12 did.
I would guess and say, yes, but actually it might have been for 13, not that it matters at this point, but it might have been for 13, it came with the first beta. And then for 14, it came with the third beta. And then again with 15, the third beta. Not completely sure, but that's what my memory is telling me.
I think you may be right, because it was just that 12 that came with the developer preview, and that was revolutionary. Later on, Google has made changes to where it didn't come until the beta for some reason. I don't know what's going on. Well, now let's talk about what's new in Android 15 Beta 3. And there are a lot of things that have changed. Not much has changed. In other words, no new things have been introduced besides a handful of those newer things. In other words, not a lot is going on. But this is the final platform stability. In other words, it's reached that stability, platform stability, and no new APIs are going to be introduced. And so we're looking forward to the last beta, which would be the fourth one next month. So the sequence now is like 2 developer previews and 4 betas. And that's what seems to be happening. And so maybe in August or September, before the launch of Pixel 9 series, we may have Android 15. But again, it's Google. Last year was different. The previous years, I know that Android 12 and 13 both were released in August. But last year was just something very different. So we'll see what happened. But let's talk about some of those things that are new. And like I said, not so many new things are there, just a handful of them. And some of those things are things that are hidden behind the flags. And of course, the guy, Mishal Rahman, kind of has dug into some of those things. And that guy is just absolutely wonderful and finds these things that are upcoming. So let's talk about some of those things that we can see for now. The one thing that I'm kind of bemoaning, and even though I didn't use it, is that for some reason, and I hope this is a mistake, John and Karine, Google has removed that adaptive vibration we talked about. I thought we talked about that earlier on in one of the episodes. That has been removed from beta 3.
Yeah, that's disappointing. Just to remind the listeners, that's what makes it vibrate harder on softer surfaces and lighter on harder surfaces, so that your phone doesn't go vibrating itself off a table, and so you can hear it if it's sitting on a bed or something. But didn't along with this, wasn't it customizable to have different vibration patterns with for different notifications? Is that still in there, or was that also removed?
I don't know, but the whole idea is that if your phone is in a vibrate mode and you happen to be in a loud area or whatever, the vibration would intensify because of the noise that you are in, the noise that is coming through. And of course, because it utilizes the microphone. So I'm thinking it could be that maybe someone is saying, hey, this could lead to some security problems or privacy problems. I don't know, but that thing got taken away. So I don't know. The next one is the color contrast setup can now be accessed from the setup. So in other words, if you're setting it up, you could change the color and all of that right away there. And the other one, though, is probably most useful to people who use the Fold or the tablet, because the taskbar now is a little bit different, especially the screensaver. If you have your phone on a charger, all those home controls now just show up there, so you can just manage your home controls and all of that. I like the whole idea about that, but how many times do I want to be messing with my phone while it's on the charger? Do you mess with your phone when it's on the charger? I know some people use their phone when it's on the charger, but I a lot of
No,
times don't.
I don't.
Karen, do you use your phone while it's on the charger?
Yeah, I do, to be honest.
I knew you would.
Wait, let's
Here we go.
rephrase the question. Do you use your phone on the lock screen while it's on the charger without
There
unlocking it?
you go.
Well, why should I?
Exactly.
Why should
I don't either.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's not on the charger, why should I use it? Well, I mean, it's not, for me at least, I don't even put notifications on lock screen. So I always unlock the phone to see notifications.
Yeah, I think this improvement is meant to help with the, Pixel tablet trying to be a home hub. So, you can control all your things while it's charging, all your home devices without unlocking it, that sort of thing.
That's right. The other one, though, and I think this one is good. It's not yet live yet, but has to do with your biometrics. For example, sometimes your fingerprint is not working the way that it should be, or it could be maybe the face unlock is not working the way that it should be. Now, instead of having to go do that again, Google will let you know automatically, remove it and tell you it's not working and you have to do it again. I like that idea, because you would now know something is wrong and it's not working right the way that it ought to be. Instead of trying to fidget with it and kind of getting all upset about it, the system will automatically remove it for you and prompt you to add your fingerprint. But what do you guys think about it? I personally think I like it.
It's good, I think. Yeah, because sometimes really the fingerprint acts weirdly enough. So it acts weird enough to the point that you feel like you want to throw the phone or something. So in this case, I think, yeah, it's good to give the people the choice. However, it should be optional. I don't know if it's optional or not. This should be optional. So it could be a toggle, and this toggle will be like, if the fingerprint is not working well or the face unlock is not working well, that it will be removed for you.
Yeah, it really depends on the implementation. If it's nice about it and it just makes a suggestion, and you could say, don't tell me this again. I'm fine with how it is. Or if it, but if it just deletes your fingerprint and says re-register your fingerprint, that's not a great experience. So it really depends how, like you said, it's not live yet. So I guess we'll find out when it is how they implement it, and hopefully they get it right so that it's not too intrusive. But I end up re-registering my fingerprints a lot, and I'm not trying to say my fingerprint changes over time, because that's ridiculous, right? But my phone will work really well, and then it will just stop working as well for some reason. It's like I clean my hands, I clean my phone, nothing else has changed, and it just doesn't work as good as it used to. And sometimes you just need to re-register. So it's good that it'll let you know.
Well, this is me also, but not now. Actually, it was with the old phone. I needed to re-register the fingerprint several times until I decided that whenever it stops working, to register the same finger again. So the three fingerprints were for one finger. At that moment, it started to work.
I've been having that problem with my Pixel 7. For some reason, the beta 2 of Android 15 made it work better. And now I got the beta 3, and now I'm back to where the fingerprint is not working the way it ought to. I'll probably reset the phone and see if it makes any difference. But it's just one of those things that keeps happening. And I don't know. That Pixel 7, for some reason, never been right.
That's something I always recommend, is if you always unlock your phone with the same finger and you don't have like some advanced routine set up to do certain things when you unlock with a certain finger, then just register your same finger multiple times, and there's more of a chance that it will work for you.
That's what I'll do. And continuing with what is not quite yet visible, will have to do with the fact that Android, for some reason, will tell you 7.5 is a fast charger or whatever. Now, according to Miss Hal, that will not be the case anymore, because it's not going to be treating 7.5 as a fast charger. It's not going to show that message saying, oh, you're now charging with a fast charger, because this is 7.5. I mean, let's face it, it's not fast charging stuff. That text that used to be shown on that lock screen, will not be shown as a fast charger anymore.
Charging rapidly is what it would say.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, this is not rapid, this is iPhone speed.
Yeah.
Or I should say iPhone charger included in the box speed, because or when they did include chargers in the box.
Yeah.
So it's been that way for a long time, and it's good that they're updating it. I think 20 watts is a good line, to consider that rapid.
Yeah, but it's not super fast like what Samsung says. Samsung says that, okay, super fast charging started, and it's 25 watts. So
yeah, so I'm not particularly one of those that care about fast charging. If you ask me, I have a very, very slow cord here that I like. It takes it maybe hours to charge my phone, and actually I like it. I'm not, one of those that would like my phone to be charging, rapidly, of course. But when I travel overseas, I can see why one would need that. But right now, I don't need that. The next one, Google is working on a new app called Creative Assistant that could use generative AI to create custom stickers, among other things. This is something that hasn't yet come, but that guy dug that up. So I'm not into emojis or whatever stuff like that. I know people like that. I know Karen loves emojis. Sally and my other buddy Alan, you guys love emojis and all that crap. Are you looking forward to this one, Karen?
Well, I like emojis, but I don't care to have a lot of customization regarding emojis. Well, I just care to have them in my keyboard and to type them and nothing more. So everything else is not something that makes me interested about it.
Yeah, same here. I do use them a lot, but I don't want to just generate them on the fly, and especially, as a blind user, like I'm just gonna have to trust that it gets it right. I don't have any visual confirmation that it did what I actually wanted it to do. So, yeah, I'm more excited about, I love how you can almost say any emoji with voice dictation in on Pixel devices because that uses assistant typing. I'd be more excited if they would just bring that assistant typing to anybody using Gboard, instead of keeping it reserved for Pixels, because that's a feature I would use all the time. You can say certain emojis in the regular Gboard voice dictation on Samsung phones, but it's very limited what you could actually say.
That is really interesting. I didn't know that you could actually speak emojis and get those things inputted. I'm learning that for the first time. Well, that tells you how much I use emojis. I'm not an emoji user, so it's really nice to know that one could actually use their voice to create emojis or tell it to write out emojis. Very interesting.
You should try it next time you're doing assistant typing on your Pixel phone, because it's crazy how much just try to think of anything that might be an emoji. Like you could say pizza emoji, hamburger emoji, if you're feeling hungry. And it will actually put them in as emojis. Like it can do a lot, and I really love it.
I love the one I'm feeling hungry. Uh, oh my gosh, that would be beautiful. Yeah, so I'm going to try that. It's really nice. The next one is the one that I actually like. So Android 15 Beta 3 has added the show long app name toggle. So in other words, you know how it is that when you install an app, sometimes they have additional name to the app and you don't see that because it's truncated. Now you can toggle that to the on or off. And if you like your app names, shown the way that they are, you could now do that. And I think that's a good one.
I think this might just be a visual thing though, because I'm pretty sure TalkBack reads the entire name, even if it's not shown completely on the home screen.
Yeah, we'll check and see what happens. Another thing that has happened is that some things are going to be changed in the settings, like some rearrangement. I sometimes wonder why Google doesn't leave the system settings the way that people know it. We're familiar with that thing, but they keep changing it. Now, kudos to Samsung for leaving things the way they are, never changing it much. I mean, they change now and then, but they're more consistent when it comes to leaving things the way they are within the system settings. Google is changing that, and I think one of those that are now active is that the notification has been renamed to something else. I don't remember what it is, but something reply and whatever. It's just kind of a little bit different. I don't know.
Yeah, doesn't Google realize that they're breaking all of our tutorials we've already recorded?
Exactly.
When we went through
Exactly.
the series of the pixel settings, like now that's going to be all out of order, and people are going to be like, what are these fools talking about? That's not in the settings.
Isn't that something though? Because it kind of falsifies what we're saying or have said. Never thought of that, but that is very true. With all of that going on, a lot of the stuff that we've done now is kind of obsolete.
It's just change for the sake of change.
Yeah. Google never seems to leave that thing alone. Every time you can count on it, bet on it that they're going to make some changes in there, the grouping things and all of that. But it's something we need to get used to. So that thing is a device and app notification. Now it's like notification, read, reply, and control. Oh my goodness. So we'll have to get used to those kind of changes and then call it good. And some of the things also changes slightly in the camera area and all of that in this version of Android. And like I said, a lot of them are not even active yet, but these are things we are looking forward to.
Well, I read that. I think that I read that there is now something related to the turning off of the screen. So when it detects that the phone is in the pocket and it's in the pocket for a certain time, it shortens the time to turn off the screen. So it detects that, or it assumes that your phone is left turned on unintentionally. So it just shortens the time for you. I mean, if it's like, for example, if it's set to 10 minutes, the time to turn off the screen, so it shortens the time, let's say for 5 minutes, if it detects that it's in the pocket or something. So did you hear about this one?
Like, for example, let's say you forgot to turn off your phone or shut off the screen and you put it in your pocket. It will notice that and it will help you turn off the screen. So I think this is a very good idea, because the whole idea is that regardless of what you set your time to shut off the screen at, if you have something that is in front of it, then it will shut off the screen so that it saves you time. In other words, if you're looking at the screen and if you're not looking at it, but then you just simply put it away and there's an object in front of it, it'll help you shut off the screen. I like that.
And this will most likely not be coming to a Samsung phone near you, because as far as I know, they don't use proximity sensors anymore. They depend on like you actually touching the screen. Like if you're in a phone call, like the screen turns off when your face touches the screen of the phone. It's not an actual proximity sensor. So, unless you put your phone in your pocket, with the screen facing you and you have very thin pockets, I don't think it's going to register that as a touch, unless Samsung figures out another way to do it, because, they do have some in-pocket detection settings that I'm not sure how well they work or not, but they do have them there. So they might figure out a workaround for it.
Yeah, but the virtual proximity sensor never works as intended, at least for me. So I think it will be the same with the pocket detection thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, at least though they do have that one in there where you can, especially, you want to make sure that it's not turning on in your purse or in your pocket. Samsung has that. I always enable that so it's not, turning on me for some reason. I just want to make sure that my phone is not turning on. But this one though that Google is doing, I wish Samsung would also adapt that. That would be nice. But I'm almost positive they might do that, because Samsung is good at doing stuff. And yet, in the same breath, a lot of times there are some glaring things that they just simply ignore and said, forget that.
Yeah, they might try to do it, but it won't work as well, because they physically don't have the sensor. So they might be able to, like the way they do it now might have something to do with like the accelerometer. Like they know if your phone is like in a pocket, if it's like moving a certain way, like they might have algorithms like that they can help determine if your phone is in a pocket, but it literally cannot see with the proximity sensor. I mean, they might also use the front facing camera, but then would that drain battery? I don't know. So they might figure out a way, but it won't work as good as having an actual proximity sensor.
So having said all these things now, I think the big one, or the one that concerns us the most, especially those of us who are blind, has to deal with TalkBack. And John, I was saying, hey, do we have TalkBack 15 yet? And indeed, we do have it, don't we?
Yeah, we do. And unfortunately, there's not too much new in it that I've found. I mean, the big deal, right, is that it now works with HID braille displays over Bluetooth, which that's been a major complaint in the past. So although I don't have a braille display to test it, they claim it's here. Have you tried it yet? Does it work for you?
Well, I don't have one that didn't work my friend was going to bring me one to test it, but he kind of got busy doing something else, so he didn't bring it. So I cannot attest to it as to whether it works or not, but I'll take their word that it works with those heat devices now, finally.
And other than that, they've one thing I noticed is the read from next item gesture is now read from current items. So instead of just skipping to the next thing to start the reading, it will actually read the current item in focus, which I kind of prefer it this way. And Warren, didn't you notice something else related to this that you think has been an issue for a while that they've fixed?
Yeah, so I do want to, add to what you just said about that read from here or read from current. That is so nice, because if I stop reading at a particular line or move to a particular paragraph, and then of course I triple tap with two fingers, it starts reading from there. I really like that feature. It's something we've been wanting for a while, instead of the read from next uh, instance or whatever. I didn't like that too well, but now this one has really become a game changer as far as I'm concerned. Now, the other thing that they fixed that I'm happy about, you're reading something and you simply wanted to pause, or a phone call comes through, or someone needs your attention, and you pause that reading and you hit that resume. Well, the whole idea is that if I resume something, if I'm playing music and I hit a pause and I hit resume, it's not going to just play a few bars and just stop. That's what it used to be with TalkBack. And now with this one, it just continues. And indeed, that's something that I'm so happy that we finally have gotten to work. And kudos to the developers. Guys, I would like to get you a beer.
Yeah, so it knows whether or not you're currently using continuous reading or not. So if you're just reading a long thing and you want to pause it, a long item, and you pause it and unpause it, it will continue that item and stop, because you were not using continuous reading. So it behaves differently whether you're using continuous reading or not, which I think is great.
It is brilliant. Thank you so much, guys. And like I said, your beer is on me.
Another thing I wanted to mention, it seems like a small thing, but I'm going to use this a lot. There's a new gesture in the Braille keyboard so there was already a gesture to go to the end of the field or go to the beginning of the field, but now if you do that same gesture but with two fingers instead of one finger, so if you hold either dots 2 and 3 or dots 5 and 6 and swipe down with one finger, that would take you to the end of the field, and if you swiped up, it would take you to the beginning of the field. But now, if you do that same swipe with two fingers instead, it will highlight all of the text between your current cursor point and the end of the field or the beginning of the field. And so if you just want to delete all the text from a certain point, that makes it a lot easier to do that.
That's really nice and brilliant, because it makes editing easier than what it used to be.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I don't think there's even a way to do that in not using the Braille keyboard.
No. Well, it would be if the Gboard editing feature were opened to TalkBack users, because this is one of the things that I've always cried about. Open up that editing feature of the Gboard to us so we could take advantage of that, where you could use your cursor keys to select things. I don't know why we don't have TalkBack support for that. Is one of those oddities.
I also noticed two differences in the verbosity settings. One relating to punctuation. You can now choose between all, most, or some. I think before it was either some or all. So now you have a setting called most, which will read, it seems to read things like parentheses, quotation marks, colons, but it won't also read, periods, apostrophes, exclamation mark, question mark, that type of thing. So, the things that you might want to know about, like quotation marks and parentheses, you can now have that information available to you if you want it.
And that was something you were crying about. Was it maybe last week, John, or was it the week before? You had cried about this. And I'm glad to see that we now have that, because that really makes sense if you want to know what's going on, most especially if it's like a coded speech or, some quotation. And so you have those punctuations in there. It's good to know that for review, most especially students. I think this will be a very good feature.
Yeah, but it still needs improvement. First of all, there is none option as far as I heard. So this is the first point. It should be some, none, all, and most. The second thing is that it is lacking the ability to let you customize. I mean, which punctuation should be considered as from the sum, or which one should be considered as from the all? I think if they implement this will be something really great and advanced as well.
Yeah, that would be better. So do you know which punctuation is considered punctuation what punctuation is read when it is set to sum? Because I don't think I can't remember it even reading punctuation ever. Could be mistaken.
Wasn't there a feature or option called read punctuation? It was checkbox. Read punctuation. Wasn't that the
there was read
implementation before?
punctuation. Yeah. Now, I think that some of these things probably, and I'm looking at it from the Windows side of things. For example, now if I were reading something and I had set my punctuations to some, I don't recall. I haven't used that feature in a while. I don't remember, like John says, which ones are read and which ones are not read either.
What I think has happened is, I agree with you, there should be a none option, but what I think has happened is, so if you had that checkbox not checked to read punctuation, how it would behave is now how it behaves when it's set to sum. So it rarely ever, I think it might say, like, if there's multiple punctuation marks, it might say it. Like, it would say 3 period if somebody had 3 periods in a row, but it would not. I think that's the only case it would ever read some. So if you had that checkbox unchecked, now it will probably just be set to sum and it will behave the same. But yeah, it would be nice to also have an option to never say any punctuation. They reworded something, and I'm not sure if it actually behaves differently, but instead of talking about lists, it talks about lists and grid information. So if you want list and grid information read, that's one setting. And I don't know, I haven't had much time with it, but maybe it does a better job of telling you you're moving between rows and columns and that sort of thing.
To be honest, I didn't play with that much either. I didn't even dig into the TalkBack settings, to be honest with you. So I'll have to look into that myself.